I hired a private investigator to find my biological father on my 30th birthday. What he discovered made me realize that sometimes not all heroes wear capes. Some just quietly pay child support for children that aren't theirs. Growing up, I had a perfectly normal childhood with my mom and the man I called Dad. They divorced when I was 14, but Dad remained a constant in my life, punchy, never missing a birthday, graduation, or opportunity to embarrass me with his terrible dad jokes. It wasn't until I was 25 applying for a passport that I discovered a birth certificate listing father unknown. When confronted, my mother reluctantly admitted that my dad wasn't my biological father. She'd been briefly involved with someone else before reconciling with my dad, and when she discovered she was pregnant, my dad had chosen to raise me as his own. He made me promise never to tell you, she said through tears. He said it didn't matter where you came from. Parent, you were his from the moment he held you. I was stunned. The man who had taught me to ride a bike, who had worked double shifts to pay for my college, who had walked me down the aisle. A bird had known all along I wasn't his. For 5 years, I respected their wishes and didn't search further, but questions lingered. Did I have siblings? Medical history I should know about? On my 30th birthday, I finally hired a KTL. 3 weeks later, I received a call. I found him, the investigator said. But here's something you should know before I give you his information. My biological father, Michael, had been in and out of prison for most of his adult life, parent drug charges, theft, assault. He had 5 children with 3 different women, none of whom he supported. His last known address was a halfway house in Nevada, but that wasn't what the investigator wanted me to know. While investigating your case, I found something unusual, he explained. Your dad parent, the man who raised you, per her, he knew exactly who your biological father was. Apparently, when my mother was 3 months pregnant, my dad had tracked down Michael and confronted him. Instead of a fight, they made an agreement. My dad would raise me as his own, and Michael would stay away. But here's the part that broke me. My dad had been sending Michael money every month for years. Why would he do that? I asked, confused. According to the letters I found, your dad was paying him to stay away. He was afraid Michael might try to come back into your life and disrupt it. The payments continued until you turned 21. I sat in silence, trying to process this. The man I called Dad had not only accepted me as his own, but had also been quietly protecting me my entire life. That weekend, I drove 6 hours to visit my dad. When I arrived, I simply handed him the Terry's report. He read it silently, then looked up with tears in his eyes. I was going to tell you someday, he said quietly. I just never found the right time. Why did you pay him? I asked. You didn't owe him anything. My dad looked at me with the same expression he had when I'd fallen off my bike at age 6. Because you were worth every penny, he said simply. And I would have paid anything to be your dad. Sometimes the family we're born into isn't the family we're meant to have. And sometimes the greatest acts of love are the ones we never know about, paired until someone hires a private investigator.